Oops.
Welcome, St. Xavier.
I don't know who was taking those orders, but welcome to Let's Be Real. Our next episode after that, Juneteenth Part 2. We don't call it July 4th over here. How y'all fellas doing, man?
Doing well. I got a
I'm
3-day
good.
weekend, surprisingly, so I'm taking full advantage of rest
I've
time. I guess.
had a 5-day weekend, sir. I don't mean
Jeez,
it.
must be nice.
I've had a 5-day weekend. It's been cool.
I'm trying to flex like that. Let me see if I can change my name from flexing like Penny to flexing like Trevor.
Hey, nothing but good vibes out here, dog. You know, hopefully by the end of the next few weeks, we'll have a championship area. So you're welcome.
Yeah, I was just about to ask you too. What's the vibe? Oh, sorry. What's the vibe out there? Because you out there in Phoenix.
The vibe is real, bro.
Is
like I done seen more Phoenix Suns jerseys than anything, bro. Like the people are ready. The turn up is real. Like it's straight. It's straight.
Dope. Well, speaking of real, let's get right to it. Let's start with our real talk segment. Ladies and gentlemen, our listening, we have a few things that we need to discuss. And first and foremost, at the top is a queen that was just handed her crown earlier in June, and kind of stripped of that is Miss Sha'Charri Richardson, and being found, tested positive for marijuana, and had a 30-day, have to be sitting out type of deal, but can still advance and be a part of the 4x1 and 4x2 relays. But just want to get you guys to talk. We'll start with Skylar and go Took, and then close up with Trevor. What are your thoughts about Sha'Charri Richardson and this whole thing coming out here in the past couple of days, last week?
Definitely was, as the news came across my phone, as the news kind of blew up early this week. I think I was more so, what's the word I'm looking for? Shocked. And it wasn't necessarily about, her testing positive or for basically her not passing her drug test. It was more so, I think the bigger news is the fact that, she's being pulled out of the Olympics because of weed, because of marijuana. For me, that's the bigger story, right? I think, I think I've seen news articles where I think maybe like Amazon, I don't want to necessarily put it on Amazon, but I believe that was the company that, they're doing away with drug testing for marijuana or for things like that. I think, as there are many people out here, probably way more than a lot of people think, use marijuana for whatever different reasonings. And, in no shape, form, or fashion does, when athletes use it in sports, is it giving them, some form of competitive edge over the other person. So it was definitely sad. It was definitely some, sad news. It was really, I was kind of just depressed at the fact that, she can't run at the Olympics. Somebody who literally I think she set the world record for the 100 meters. So for somebody who just set the world record in the 100 meter dash.
Can I just interrupt just a real quick? She was top 6 all-time fastest record. Mm-hmm. That's in American country. That's Afghanistan. That's Iowa. That's all that.
Mm-hmm. So. Yeah, no, I appreciate that for adding context. It's saddening that someone of her stature, a Black woman at that, like I said, who just set a record, isn't able to perform, in the Olympics, for not passing a drug test. And we all kind of know what was the reasoning as to why she smoked weed. But really, I don't care as to why she she did it. That's not for us to get in her business like that. It's just sad that that we're, and I don't want to hear about no rules, and she knew what she was doing. At the end of the day, I won't say we all, but a lot more people use weed or use marijuana for whatever different reasonings, and there's no, we don't shame any other person for that, so we shouldn't blame her for what she did.
Man, straight up, bro. I think at this point, hopefully America and the rest of the world catches up with, states like California and Colorado and places that are literally, making millions, if not billions of dollars from a plant that's grown from the ground. And we talk about Sha'Charri, Lito, I'm not sure if you knew, but she, her reasoning for smoking was because she was coping with the death of her mother. Like when we saw how she felt, at her race, when she had her mother on her mind, but still was able to break a world record. And I think that this fact and this point is that a lot of athletes that she would have been competing against would have actually preferred that, because you're competing against the best in the world. And now you're literally taking the best out of the world because of a plant that she uses to cope. Like if you study marijuana, like it don't make you faster. It don't help. It should not be on the list of those BS rules, bro.
I'm sorry to cut you off too. If anything, it makes you move a lot more slower. That's just from what I've heard.
That's what it's supposed to do, right? Apparently,
a friend told me. I heard the same thing from a friend. Yeah, I heard the same thing from a friend. Okay.
Hey man, according to the slander and the propaganda that's been used against cannabis since the 70s, it's supposed to make us slower, dumber, and reaction time just a whole lot slower. And Sha'Charri broke all of those things in just one. So I mean. It's I don't want to say it's racism, because I did try to bring the fact up on social media that it kind of was the same thing with Michael Phelps. I was told wrong, but I kind of think that it is. But that's another debate for another day. But Sha'Charri Richardson, I think that I don't think this was the first time she used weed. I don't think it'll be the last time. I just think that it's something that America has to do, and Japan and all these other countries need to catch the hell up, because we shouldn't even be testing for marijuana at this point. It might as well test for the basketball players and everything, but it is what it is. And she lives in a legal state, so what the hell are we doing here?
Okay, well, first and foremost, before I even provide my take on here, we're gonna give this queen her flowers. The very least we can do as a podcast is pronounce this woman's name correctly. It's not Sha'Charri, it's Sha'Charri Richardson. So I just want to clear that up now.
Let it be known.
So that's first and foremost. Second, as far as this whole thing is concerned, you guys hit the nail on the head as far as why are we still testing athletes for marijuana. But I'm gonna put, I know conspiracy too, because conspiracy too. I'm gonna put my Claiborne Trevor hat on for just a second. This has nothing to do with Sha'Charri or weed. This is our Mayo confidants trying to make an example. So I take you guys back to just a little over a week ago to the U.S. Olympic track and field competition with the women's hammer throw. There was a woman by the name of Gwendolyn Berry who, of course, she placed third in the women's hammer throw. And as they played the national anthem, she kind of just stood there with her hand on her hip, and then she had the shirt on that says activist athlete in protest of the anthem. And of course, when they asked her about it, about why she protested the anthem, she said that she was disgusted. So, and then lo and behold, just a few days later, this news with Sha'Charri comes out about testing positive for marijuana. So I'm looking at it from a standpoint of this is our Mayo confidant is trying to make an example, because if Gwen did what she did, what's to say that Sha'Charri is going to do something even bigger that may quote unquote embarrass the country, which it wouldn't have been the case. I would have been all for whatever she would have done, but I just think that's just them trying to set an example, make an example out of somebody. Unfortunately, it had to be Sha'Charri. Unfortunately, she won't be able to do the 100, but she'll still be able to compete. So she'll still be able to bring home the gold for the U.S. But all in all, man, when
you know what race she'll be participating in? Because I thought she was just done completely.
No,
she won't do the. She can still do the 4x, I think it's the 4x1 and the 4x2, I believe. She won't be able to do the straight 100 where she qualified in. Yeah. So, but yeah, again, but you guys hit the nail on the head as far as the marijuana industry. Like, when is the rest of the world going to wake up? When is the rest of America going to wake up? Because it's a $1 billion industry at this point. And Just at
It
this
might, it
point.
may be a T in front of that one now.
Yeah.
It may be a T
Yeah.
instead of
And here's my question to those who were saying rules are rules. Is it Uchiwali or is it one mic? Because you can't sit here and advocate for all black people to be expunged for being locked up because of marijuana possession or usage or intent to sell. And then Sha'Charri gets caught testing positive for weed and then just turn around and say, well, rules are rules. You should have known better. So is it Uchiwali or is it one mic? That's all I got to say.
Yeah, so let me try to close this up and bring facts as well. First of all, as I tell people that are high school seniors getting ready to be freshmen in college, first of all, we have to realize also this young lady is not 30, 35. She hasn't went even through her 20s yet. She was born in 2000. So she's either 20 or 21 right now, right? And let's just think about it. We all made mistakes when we were in college, period, point blank. And a lot more mistakes were made on skin colors that are not the same as the ones that we see right now on screen. But nonetheless, she did what she did, and for whatever reasons it could have been. But I want to run some numbers by you. Oh, before I get to that, you have two sets of friends that you can go out and be sociable with, and friends that will keep you accountable. And more times than not, the friends that are sociable are going to outweigh or like there's more of those people than there are people that are going to keep you responsible for what you need to do. Very, very rarely do you get a mesh where you have someone that's going to be sociable and keep you accountable. That's part of the same circle. Usually those circles are different, right? And so to me, I think Sha'Charri should also be thinking about, the friends that she's around and being a part of and hold her accountable. She's actually on a different platform than everyone else. She's not just a regular college student or athlete. She's an Olympian. And so Olympians do need to carry themselves a certain way. Now, let's run some numbers because we're going to be real about this. You talked about the industry of marijuana. The medical marijuana industry in 2017 grossed over $5.1 billion in revenue. That means that's the profit that they made from making marijuana medically okay. Within the first 2 years, it exceeded its projections by over $20 million. That's in the first 2 years. By 2025, gentlemen, that's in 4 years, this is projected to be a $13.5 billion industry in revenue alone. That's if we still stay the ununified states of America that we are. There are 36
states. Say what they have to do with like states opening and legalizing. So it's the same rate, same states.
Say as long as the same states are doing what they're doing, that's how much we can have. That is until we open up those other states that are not as quite open as they should be right now for medical marijuana purposes. So people getting paid behind the scenes, as we already know. But it sucks when, these things come to light. And you have to just carry yourself a certain way. It's very unfortunate. We know she's going to clean up in the 4x1 and the 4x2. This is a great feel-good story, and I don't want us to drop the ball on how great of a story this can and will be for her and her family, and for anyone else that is, going to be in the Olympics or aspiring to be in the Olympics. Now, I do want to close that chapter because we do have a lot to talk about with Real Talk, and then kick it over to my good brother Took about some college athletes. What's going on? Speaking of college athletes, let's talk about college athletes.
Some people strive to be Olympians, and some people strive to just go to college, and some people try to strive for college athletes. But now college athletes can strive to get a bag 1,000 years later. So the NCAA, the Not Cool at All Association League, whichever way you prefer, finally are allowing athletes to get paid, and I actually have a couple of athletes that are getting sponsorships already. We got Hannah and Haley Cavendier from Fresno State, who have a partnership with Boost Mobile. Bo Nix from Auburn football, Milo Sweet Tea, said it's delicious. Sean Silvers from the same school, Auburn, has a partnership with Yoke, which is pretty much a platform that'll allow gamers and athletes to be able to play against each other on games. So I'm pretty sure Let's Be Real gonna get involved with that some point, sometime. And also Gable Stevenson has a partnership with GoPuff, which is a delivery service. So pretty much it sounded like a bunch of up and coming businesses are using the college platform and the college athletes to promote their brand. But gentlemen, it's about time. How do y'all feel about this? Let's start off with Sheedy, Skylar, and the intro.
Very simply stated in your intro, sir. Way too late. Not way too late, but I mean, years later, right? Think of the money that Vince Young could have made. And I'm talking for you for Texas, right? Reggie Bush and others, and I know we might get to the Reggie Bush part of it as well. But for those that never had an athletic scholarship or know what it's like to be in college as an athlete, you can't do and make any money doing anything. Like you're either at practice, at school, or you're in study tables, or you're traveling for that particular sport. There is no time to actually financially make yourself money to do stuff outside your time, if it's not basketball season or football season. And so this is a great platform for them because kids were doing other things. I mean, boosters were playing people, and Skylar's favorite school in Alabama, and that's still happening. It's not going to be under table now; it's going to be over the table, so to speak. And so, like, that's just where we're at. And I'm just glad that athletes are getting paid, and everyone gets an opportunity to do this too. It's not just your main sports. So kudos to those people that swim, gymnastics, all that other stuff that y'all gonna get paid for, as you should. Because if someone has an academic scholarship, they can actually still get paid to do stuff while in college. So this is great for athletes, if you ask me.
Yeah, I believe it's great for athletes, but too, let's, if we're going to be real about it, let's point out the fact that, the NCAA, it wasn't necessarily them that, that pushed everything forward for this to happen. It was more so, state legislation, state government. So I think like California, Florida, Texas was up there. They were more so pushing the envelope to make this happen. The NCAA was like, I mean, I guess we ain't got no choice but to do it, right? Because I think you can't have, all these schools that's a part of the NCAA, and you can't have, all these schools in California, Texas, and Florida, being able to pay their players. But, schools in Tennessee or Alabama, whatever the case may be, they weren't able to do so. So that's why all of this happened as fast as it did. The NCAA has always had they've always had the platform. They've always had, the resources to push this forward, but they've always been selfish. They were always trying to make, keep all the money that that was going into these different programs and stuff like that. So definitely wanted to point that out. But it's just I'm glad that it's happening, because to your point, Shidi, like, it's amazing how that everybody on the college campus can make money, can go out and go get a job, and can do all this, do all these type of things to make money. But college athletes, the people that in a sense they're a big part of the reason why buildings get put up, why U of M just got a new rec center put up. I'm pretty sure it wasn't students like me and you two who went to U of M that was able to fund it, right? So it's good to finally be able to see those players get something for bringing all that money into these college programs, because coaches can get that money. Athletic directors can get all their money, schools can get their money. But at the end of the day, if I'm out here, putting up 20 points a game, or I'm out here putting, throwing 50 touchdowns a game, and I get nothing from that, or I get like a $200 stipend, like, that's not cool. So I'm glad that they were, whoever, was able to put this decision together, they were able to, get it done as quickly as they could.
Yeah, I'll just echo those same sentiments. I think when that Supreme Court ruling came out in favor of athletes being able to get paid, you saw how quickly all the dominoes fell to where players can now use their brand and their likeness to earn extra income while they're in college. Shout out to Spencer Rattler, from the quarterback from Oklahoma. He got a endorsement deal from Raising Cane's, so shout out to him. That's what's up. I'm just waiting on to see which Tiger's gonna get their Wing Guru sponsorship. Let's just be real. So but yeah, this has been a long time coming, man. I think one story that I heard was from Miami's quarterback Garrett King, to where he wasn't happy that this is happening, because now he can help his teammates out, because there's a lot of college athletes that are same skin color as us that usually would have those stipends back in the day and would have to send those back home just so their families can keep everything afloat. And now that players are able to profit off the name and likeness and everything, this could be major. So I'm excited. I'm happy for him. And shout out to Master P son for making $2 million before even.
Yes, sir. That's why I forgot.
Before even
at TSU, by the way.
At TSU. Yeah, shout out to him for making $2 million right off the back. So, man, I'm happy, and this means the NCAA football games coming back for sure now. So, yeah, I'm just excited. I'm happy for him. Kudos.
Yep. Speaking of football, I think this is one of the ways that the NCAA and the endorsers will be able to keep college players actually to go to a bowl game, right? Because we see a lot of athletes skipping a bowl game to prepare for the draft or whatnot. But now it's like if you get promoted, let's say you're going to the Chick-fil-A bowl, you get promoted by Chick-fil-A, that's another bag. So it's like, yeah, I might want to play this game, or even for like the basketball players like choosing college over the G League, like that'll help with keeping the college basketball.
The school is actually getting that money on that. I don't think that's more so. Now, if there's a way the players can get cut in for that, I think it would pretty much more incentivize them to play. I don't think it's really going to change anything for bowl season, unless it's the New Year's Six now with the college football playoff expanding. But yeah, I don't see that actually changing. That's because that money that they're paying these sponsors for, like the Chick-fil-A bowl and things of that nature, that's going to the schools still. So like I said, unless the players are getting cut in somehow,
I think now the ball is in, not no pun intended, of course, but the ball is in the player's hand, because if you come in with a half a million followers on Instagram or whatever, like I think that can be used as a negotiation tactic as well.
But let's be real here too, and I'm just looking at it devil's advocate from the perspective of the school. If Chick-fil-A is giving me X amount of, we'll say a meal, and I have to give $250,000 to a student because he has a huge social media following. You're gonna as a school administrator, you're gonna be willing to par with that $250.
You're gonna have to, or they won't go. And then when the coach is there trying to recruit the student in front of their parents or whatever, that can also be used as leverage. Especially for the sports like basketball, per se. Okay,
but then at this point, if I'm the player doesn't go, it really doesn't hurt the school that much. The school be like, okay, he won't go, he just won't go. We'll just pocket the $1 million, and he's probably gonna go. He's probably gonna go pro anyway. So hey, thank you for your time.
Still not going to do changes the game.
Yeah, I hear your perspective. Go ahead, Skyler, before 2 closes out. Go ahead.
Yeah, and I think another point of view that I want us to look at this from is, when it comes to college basketball and recruiting, now that players are now able to be paid for the name, image, and likeness, like now you're maybe start to see some of those top players that were probably going to G League. They were probably, willing. I'll just, forego going to college. I'll just make my money, going to the G League. You may start to see some of those players give college a second look now.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, so I think that's something that I want us to look at too.
And who's at the head of the curve?
Yay!
We'll get to that later.
Speaking of that, I want to close out by asking this. Speaking of the U of M, shout out to my Tigers. Will the NCAA finally give us our 2008 banner? Will Reggie Bush finally get his Heisman? Real quick, y'all can answer that. Let's move on.
I will hope so.
Don't ask questions you already know the answer to.
They should.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm gonna put
that.
They should. That's all I'm gonna say. They should.
No, what one of my favorite analysts found herself into, bro? Because I'm kind of hurt, to be honest. I can't even count, bro. I'm kind of hurt.
Oh man. So for those that weren't popping firecrackers or on the grill yesterday, a New York Times article reached the masses yesterday and revealed that Rachel Nichols of ESPN's The Jump activated her Karen powers, if you will, to basically, for lack of a better term, shoot down Maria Taylor. And this audio clip that surfaced was from a year ago when Rachel Nichols got word that Maria Taylor would be working the finals as opposed to her. And the audio clip is on the internet. It's pretty damning, if you will. Basically, just to sum it up, Rachel Nichols basically said that Maria Taylor is where she is only because she's black, and ESPN is trying to clean up its image because of their lack of diversity. And then the Me Too movement and Black Lives Matter was referenced as well. I'm not going to get too much into it. But of course, I just want to get you guys' thoughts on Rachel Nichols at this point. We can keep the same order. We can go Sheedy, Scholar, and then Toot on Rachel Nichols and this whole ordeal. So,
yeah. So Rachel Nichols just said what has literally been going on just behind closed doors. Was she wrong for what she said? Yeah, she was wrong for what she said. But let's be honest here. Let's be real. She's not the only one who think or thought that was acceptable, one, to say, or two, to even believe. And let's not even go further than schools, right? Let's talk about University of Memphis, MTSU. I went to Ohio University. There are certain scholarships that are for what? Colored people only. It's called, all this started to stem about from what's called affirmative action. For you guys that are like in the early 2000s being born, go ahead and dust off that water behind your ear and do your research about affirmative action and why that was put into play. And so, was she wrong? Yes. But the wrong thing here is that this is still happening. This is still a thing. And besides looking at someone's credentials, we're looking at the color of their skin first and then seeing if the credentials fit, so to speak. So it's like, oh, yeah, so she's black. Okay, well, let's now look at her resume. And it shouldn't even be a thought about her color. Maria Taylor's been doing what she's been doing and been very well at it for years. And she should have been up for this no matter her skin color. And again, also I want to make sure I'm clear about this, for us African Americans, nothing is ever going to be handed to us. And so we have to understand that we're going to dig deeper than our counterparts that don't look like us. And so, yes, this is a slap in the face to us. Yes. However, this is also what you've been dealing with all your life. It's just different to hear from someone else's, I guess, platform. And also, Rachel Nichols, you need to use your platform better. You know this is going on. So for you not to step up and use your platform and say how bad this is about diversity, you could have came back and said something about that right after this came out and tried to, I don't want to say explain yourself, just maybe where you're at now in your life. But if that happened a year ago, ladies and gentlemen, let's not go on wood. A year ago was what? Black Lives Matter. Around this time, by the way, too. Passing it over. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. I agree wholeheartedly with what you said, Sheedy. And I think I've kind of, as I read the articles, I kind of took that as like some form of jealousy from Rachel Nichols towards Maria Taylor. Like for somebody who, because Maria Taylor, to your point, Sheedy, has worked her ass off to go from, I believe she was on a volleyball scholarship at Georgia, if I'm not mistaken. And she's worked her way up from college game day to, where she is now,
the mud. She got it out the mud.
Exactly. So to, for her to go from where she was to now, hosting NBA Countdown, and for Rachel Nichols to kind of say what she said, I kind of took that as shade, and I kind of took that as, she was more so worried about, Maria Taylor taking her spot, which, I mean, at the end of the day, just work harder, right? Like if you're so worried about, what Maria Taylor got going on or her potentially taking your spot, whatever the case may be, then just work harder. But it was definitely, disheartening for, someone of Rachel Nichols, her status to, say what she said about Maria Taylor. And you would just be hoping that, from a woman that, again, Rachel Nichols, she kind of worked her way up and got to, where she was. You would think that she would have more nicer things to say about this whole ordeal and, kind of not push Maria Taylor down like that. I think that was the thing that I was kind of like, dang, to what you just said, to somebody that we got okay, we can actually, get down with Rachel Nichols, but for her to say what she said about Maria Taylor was like, dang, I don't even know if I can rock with you like that no more.
This definitely changed how I looked at Rachel Nichols, because to be honest with you, I was probably one of her biggest fans watching her on the what's that, the Nation, Sports Nation? Like that's one of my favorite sports shows on ESPN to watch, period. And it's because of her personality, her charismatic, being able to connect with players. And that's like, now you coming out at a black woman speaking your mind, freedom of speech, whatever. But it's like it's a slap in the face for the black people that supported you, because we have our sister who damn sure deserved the job, and this was a year ago, right? This was in 2020. So shout out to ESPN for hiring this crap for the last year. And I actually did a little bit of research. And according to the New York Times, the only person known to be punished was Kayla Johnson, a digital video producer who told ESPN Human Resources that she had sent to the video to Taylor. Kayla Johnson, who was also black, was suspended for 2 weeks without pay, and was later given less desirable tasks at work. So we see ESPN taking advantage of the moment and letting this go right before the NBA finals about, one of the more more popular analysts and hosts in the NBA. So I mean, conspiracy to not, bro, is a hand well played by ESPN. I don't see any. Honestly, regardless, I don't see any backlash from ESPN that'll be given to Rachel Nichols, unfortunately. But Rachel Nichols will have to sit back and see, Maria Taylor take on a job that she wanted to do, since her career started. So, I mean, if karma is real, we're looking at it right now. So, salute to Maria Taylor for holding us down. Let's be real, Black Lives Matter. But Rachel Nichols, I'm disappointed. From a fan, I'm disappointed.
Yeah,
this wouldn't happen at Turner Sports. I'll say that.
Anyway, but just one quick thing to kind of play on your whole conspiracy thing. I don't know if you guys remember, and I read up on this and I completely forgot about it. There was an article that ESPN had put out about Maria Taylor because her contract with ESPN is actually up this year, and how they was pointing her out to be a quote unquote diva because she turned down a $5 million I guess extension to stay with ESPN, and she stated that she wanted Stephen A money, which of course I didn't really pay too much of mine into that. And it was kind of brought up a little bit by Jalen Rose on just a little bit on as they was preparing. I think it was game 6 of Clippers and Suns when he's like, "Yo, Maria Taylor needs a bigger payday." So ESPN has done well per se of hiding all this, and I think with everything that's transpired that's coming out now, I think they're just doing damage control at this point to kind of mitigate everything. But from one thing in the past to another thing in the past, so just recently, we did have a few coaching hires in the NBA. 2 in particular that really drew a lot of controversy, if you will, was the Portland Trailblazers hiring Chauncey Billups as their new head coach, and the Dallas Mavericks hiring Jason Kidd as their head coach. The reason those were controversial is because a lot of speculation were for Becky Hammond, of course, a longtime assistant with the San Antonio Spurs, to be right at the helm to land a head coaching gig. And when the hires were made for these 2 teams and she wasn't one of the names called, all of a sudden we have something way from the past, 20 years in the past, surface up from Chauncey Billups and Jason Kidd. There was a 97 incident when Chauncey was a rookie with the Celtics of a sexual assault case, to which it went to civil court, in which he was held responsible for that. Didn't really do any time or anything. And then there was another spousal abuse allegation against Jason Kidd back in 2001. So my question is to you guys is, do you feel at this point in time today that Chauncey Billups and Jason Kidd, I know Chauncey has since had his press conference, but even then, do you feel that they should just answer for these allegations that had just come? I wouldn't necessarily say right out the blue, but just kind of weirdly just so happened to appear just right after they had received the job as head coach of their respective teams.
Yeah, I'll jump in real quick to say this. I think the biggest thing for me is, during Chauncey Billups' press conference, as he was getting the job, like PR or public relations totally shut every question down about, about his sexual assault, which looks even worse, right? I think if you let the man explain himself, if he, I feel like, as public relations, I think their job is to get him ready for questions like that. And one, it seems like they didn't do that. 2, it looks, like I said, it looks even worse that every time that question was, brought up, or, somebody wanted to ask questions about that specific situation, they totally shut it down, which makes it look that much worse. I think, for the most part, I'm a man of, second chances. I believe everybody in life deserves a second chance. So I'm pretty sure what Chauncey Billups did, whether it was 10, 15, 5 years ago, whatever the case may be, I'm pretty sure, he's remorseful of it, and, he's willing to, do whatever that he can to, to make up for that wrongdoing. It just looks really bad on the Trailblazers' part that they literally shut every question down and they wouldn't even let him answer it. When it seemed as if he had, he was willing to, go into depth or, at least answer questions about it.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think at this point, it's something that happened 20 years ago. If you would have asked me, and if I was Chauncey, I'm like, yeah, it happened 20 years ago. I paid my dues. I paid my debts. You know, me and the woman have moved on, and now you're actually having to put in both situations, right? You have to bring up old scars for these women, and the sports media have a great knowledge of doing such things. Like, we paid attention to Derrick Rose's amazing season last season, but we have analysts talking about his allegations. You know, even when Kobe was passing, we had dumbass analysts
Nichols.
his allegations, right? So I'm like, this is what they do at this point. Like you said, Lito, you hit it right on the head. Chauncey should have been given a chance to give a one-word answer, which I would have gave. Is like, I moved on. Let's go. You know what I'm saying? Peace out. Like, how can I help this? How can I help Dame bring a championship to this city? How can I help, Luka Doncic bring a championship to Dallas? That should be the main focus, period, instead of, 20 years ago or what, some wrongdoings that they did. Like, I'm not tripping, man. This is something I kind of expected from the sports media, but it's not us that's in the room. So it is what it is.
Yeah, listen. When you take a shovel and you go into the ground, you start digging, you're going to find something. No matter if it's a rock, no matter if it's $1 million, you're going to find something when you start digging. And so they found something. And I don't remember this hindering Chauncey Billups from having a career, let alone in the NBA, let alone a coaching career that was with the Clippers before they got bounced. I don't recall this information coming out about Jason Kidd as he was leading the Bucks to back-to-back exits back then. So, or when he got hired to be a Lakers assistant. So it's just ironic now, and this actually even goes back to talking about Ms. Richardson earlier. The spotlight gets turned on immensely when you are a person of color and when you have a certain title, so to speak. So again, we didn't care about that. And who knows what these other assistants have been doing? Who knows what Marvin Ham has been doing, okay? And some other ones that Sam Cassell, right? There's other assistants and what they've been doing and what's going to come to light for them once, the spotlight is really on them. Does it change who they are as coaches? No. I also believe in second chances. Also being a girl dad as well. If he molested and I'm not saying he did, or did something wrong against my Alea, I would really feel some type of way. I probably definitely wouldn't cheer for that team, but he didn't. And everyone deserves a second chance. We've all done something wrong, no matter how egregious you may say it may have been. But if that man has done right since then, who hasn't fallen down and gotten back up, right? And so we let it be. This happened back before a pre-pandemic, before we went into college, before some of us were changed out. Like, all this happened way before then. But again, if you have a shovel and you start digging, you're going to find something. But how do you respond? And it sounds like they want Chauncey to respond on the floor. And I don't know about Jason yet, but they want Chauncey to do it on the floor.
Okay. I've looked at this at a whole different lens. Like, I agree 100% with what each of you guys are saying, but just hearing all this, just the timing in which all of this came out, and the hype that Becky Hammon got as far as being a candidate for a head coaching job, it makes me wonder. It's like, if Becky Hammon were Teresa Witherspoon, same situation. She's currently an assistant coach for the New Orleans Pelicans. So if this was Teresa Witherspoon looking for a head coaching job, would this same energy be kept as far as to why Billups and Kidd, should have these jobs? Like, would we bring the same thing up if this was Teresa Witherspoon out here interviewing for these jobs as opposed to Becky Hammon? That's kind of how I'm looking at it from I hate to say it, but it's from a racial standpoint. Now, I'm in no shape or form condoning any sort of violence towards women. I feel that if you did what you did, you made your mistake, you deserve whatever punishment that comes with it. And I also do believe in second chances. And I also do believe, let's just be honest, Chauncey and Jason Kidd just won a title as an assistant coach just last season. So you knew he was at some point going to be due for another head coaching job. Chauncey Billups was doing what he was doing for the LA Clippers. You knew at some point he was going to be due up to possibly land a head coaching job. Becky Hammon, as great as she's been for the past 7 years, we do live in a microwave society. And the last time I checked, the San Antonio Spurs haven't been in the playoffs within the past 2 seasons. So maybe that could be a reason that maybe she got overlooked for these jobs. And plus, there's still jobs they're still opening. The Magic still haven't found a coach. The Pelicans still haven't found a coach. And I believe the Washington Wizards still haven't found a coach. So there's still a very, very good chance that Becky Hammond could land a head coaching gig. I'm just saying. So.
No, and I totally appreciate. I know we got to move on, but I definitely appreciate that point of view, Trevor. Because I mean, there's been so much talk on Twitter, talk on social media, talks in the media, like why Becky Hammond didn't get this job, why she didn't get this job. Like, let things play out. I think we get so frustrated when things don't go our specific way, or if we have a recommendation about something, or about who should get a coaching position here, or who should get a job here, and when that name isn't if that person isn't hired, we're like, oh, well, why didn't do this? Like, to your point, Trevor, like there's plenty other job openings that's that will come available. Greg Popovich, we all know he ain't gonna coach till he's 95. I'm pretty sure he's retiring soon. But again, Trevor, a point that you just brought up, the Spurs hadn't looked good in 2 years. Like, not even just missed the playoffs, they hadn't legit looked good in quite some time. That could be a reason why she didn't get a look. I totally agree with you there.
And I think it's also a part of the microwave society we moved in. Like, women coaches are just now, or women in professional coach leagues are starting to become a thing. Hell, we still got trouble getting black men jobs who actually played in the damn league. we got a problem with black coaches getting in the NFL. So for like women, it's like y'all. I'm not to say y'all got to be patient, but damn it, y'all got to be a little patient. Like we still trying to get our bag out here too. So it's like they're competing with us, but I get what y'all saying. Becky Hammond should have a job eventually, but the Spurs ain't been good. Let's see where it goes.
Yeah. No, I say there's still three job openings, three teams that have not hired a head coach yet. So it's very well possible. So from one of those teams that's still looking for a head coach to a guy who we thought was going to be leaving this city to go coach this team, but unfortunately he isn't. I'm going to throw it up to my guy Skylar, and he's just going to take it away from here.
That's not checkers.
Exactly. So I think, was it about a week ago? I think as we were closing the podcast, I was like, look, there's going to be some big news coming out of the Memphis Tigers basketball program. And as I said that, I think literally, so what in my head, what I was thinking, what that news was going to be, not much happened on that front of it. But there was a report come out from Shams, or from several different reporters, that Penny Hardaway had interviewed for the Orlando Magic job, that that he was a top candidate and things like that. And so as the week, as the days went on, as the week as the week ended, we also, that Penny Hardaway got on Instagram, said that he wasn't going anywhere, said that he was going to return as the head coach of the Memphis Tigers basketball team. And shortly thereafter, there was also news that that Penny Hardaway and the Memphis Tiger basketball team is going to bring on his name is leaving my head right now. It's going to bring on Larry Brown. Yeah, there we go. It's going to bring on Larry Brown as their assistant coach. So definitely want to get you guys' perspective on that. Definitely get you guys' perspective on the new recruit that just committed on yesterday by the name of Noah Batchelor. He did commit to the University of Memphis as well. And then also really quickly, Memphis was on a top recruit, Jalen Duren. They were on his Final Four list, who was, I think, maybe top 1 or maybe 2 players in the 2022 class that is potentially going to reclassify as well. So I know there's a lot of things that we could potentially talk about for the Memphis Tigers, but you guys can definitely take it however you want to. But definitely, I think let's switch it up a little bit. Let's go to Sheedy, Trevor, and then I'll close out. What did this week look like for the U of M program? Was it good news? Was it bad? Publicity or things like that? So what do you guys think? Or even Mr. Larry Brown, who's 80 years old. Yeah, so you guys can bring that up as well.
Hey, this is great news for the University of Memphis. Like I said, simply said, chess, not checkers. Penny Hardaway knew exactly what he's doing. We've been hearing reports almost damn near since he's been hired about how he wanted to work with Larry Brown. So the fact that he actually gets this opportunity, the fact that Larry Brown, a Hall of Fame coach, will be his right-hand man will help Penny in so many aspects. And not only that, it's just another recruiting tool for the college athletes. Like, if we trying to get the number 2, player in the nation in 2022, having Larry Brown right there, who's done it, who's played with some of the best players, who's played with, Allen Iverson, who in my opinion, the number 1 figurehead culturally the basketball has ever seen. Like, Larry Brown helped coach him to a championship. So the pedigree and he was with Houston. He was with Houston. They didn't do too bad.
Iverson in the championship?
I mean, he got them to the finals, and then they win a game.
Okay.
I do that shit.
They won a game.
They won a game. But then something that everybody else
I got you.
But like I said, just to have that pedigree, somebody who didn't do so bad at Houston, even at the age he is, I think it just makes us that much better, that much professional. And shout out to Coach Savage for, his recommendation on Penny going after these private league shooters, and I think we finally got one. So let's get a couple more and let's do our thing.
Yeah. You say go ahead, or you?
It's on you.
Okay, my fault. Yeah. So to me, the bigger news wasn't about Penny not going to Orlando. I'll be honest. I've said it on this podcast before. I don't think Penny's ready to be a head coach, realistically, in college sports like this, let alone in the NBA at the NBA level. And so to get the talent of, God, now my name now has slipped my mind. Former coach of SMU, Larry Brown, is now like his assistant, right? So like one of the things that I think hindered Penny was like the in the moment making adjustments, what to do. Whereas like defensively, they're always ready. He's always got them really conditioned and ready to go. But in the game, making those small X's and O's type deal, I think Larry Brown has done this for decades. And like you said, brought the Eastern Conference Championship to the 76ers with AI, and the only team to really beat the Lakers in LA that year. But he has the pedigree to also put people in the league, right? And he knows what it takes to put people in the league. So this is a great move by Penny, by U of M. I don't know what took Penny so long to make that announcement, but I feel like he was outside right out here. Okay. Right here, Mount Moriah recruiting some players as he was making that announcement to get some more people in. And I just love it. I love it for the city of Memphis. I just feel like how Memphis you could have been down and out if you were a Memphian, but the moment you heard that news, it just elevated your spirits. Because if you're a part of Memphis and the culture of Memphis, having Penny stay is huge, huge. But I also didn't think he was going anywhere either. And then also helps him cultivate the talent with Larry Brown. Like I said, the X's and O's. Everything else, Penny's he's put together 3 years of some good service. But the small, minute changes that happen in the game, in the moment, stuff that Larry Brown can help him and slow down the game, this happens. And I look forward to how that happens for us and the University of Memphis moving forward.
Yeah, and last time I checked, Larry Brown is still the only coach in history to win both an NBA championship and an NCAA championship. So I'm pretty sure he knows a thing or two about X's and O's, which is exactly what Penny was looking for the moment he got hired. I'm going to take this from a recruiting standpoint. I kind of like what Penny is doing recruiting wise as far as trying to institute a more NBA centric style offense and adding more space and adding more shooting, which is why I got to commend Savage for him putting it out there and saying, hey, you need to go get these private school snipers, these guys that can really shoot the three ball, because that's going to be helpful with the rest of the talent that you're going to have, and it's going to provide more spacing, which is going to help everyone else operate. So I kind of like that aspect, and this is Penny's way of selling the NBA to potential recruits. Like, hey, I'm a head coach. I was a superstar in the NBA. You have Larry Brown, who's coached in the NBA, who's won a championship in the NBA. So if anybody knows how to get to the NBA, it's gonna be the two of us. And I believe right now, if I'm not mistaken, at this point, we have the seventh, best recruiting class in the nation right now. So, and that's without, I think, the couple of other recruits that are still haven't announced yet that does have Memphis in their Final Four or whatever. So, I'm excited for the city. I'm excited for the Tigers. I'm definitely gonna try to look and get season tickets as soon as they're available. Like yeah. I ain't got it like that, but hey, if I can get a decent seat for a decent price, I'm in there. Plus, just one last day, like one of my and if nothing else, I definitely want to see the matchup with Houston because my one of my closest friends, his nephew transferred to Houston. He played at California Bakersfield prior to, and now he's using his last year eligibility, and he'll be at Houston. He's actually pretty good. I think he averaged like 17, 6 and 5 at UC Bakersfield. So if anything else, I'll definitely be at the Houston game. So I'm excited. That's all I'm gonna say. So
yeah, for sure. Good take on that. Appreciate you bringing up the recruiting aspect of it. Before I start, I definitely want to, give shots to, I think they're In-Town Media on Twitter for kind of, being the true reliable source when it kind of came to all this. I was already of the mindset that, when the news came out that Penny Hardaway was, at least interviewing for the Orlando Magic job, I kind of knew that he wasn't going anywhere. But at that time, I was saying that source or someone, maybe it was John Calipari or some other coach that probably rivaled Memphis that put the report out there. I just didn't believe it because, yeah, I mean, Shams put it out there, but not too many other people outside of Shams put it out there. Like Woj didn't put it out there. Like ESPN wasn't covering that much. And so I said, well, something about that isn't right. So then when he goes on Instagram and says that he's coming back, followed right immediately after the fact that Larry Brown is the assistant coach. That in my honest opinion, that has everything to do with Penny Hardaway. Penny Hardaway, my honest opinion, put that all out there. The reason he waited so long on Sha'Charri is because he wanted Larry Brown as his coach. And he was that. I mean, this was talks years ago when he wanted to be that he wanted Larry Brown as the coach. Memphis denied him of that. And there was talks about it again. After the season ended, that he wanted him again. And I believe that Memphis wasn't willing to let him do that. And so he said, okay, well, if you won't let me get the assistant coach that I want to get, let me, put this little report out here too that says, that I'm interviewing for the Atlanta Magic position coach, which he did an interview for it, but I don't think there was much, consideration from him as far as, how deep, how much he wanted to consider doing it. It was all because he wanted to flex. He wanted to say, I want to be able to do, exactly what I want to do. And if you guys won't let me do that, then I'll just leave. So shout out to Penny Hardaway for being able to flex like that he did. But then also I think again to what you just said, Trevor, like I think this is huge for the recruiting trails that he was also able to get Larry Brown. Like Noah Bachelor, who just committed yesterday, literally brought the fact that they hired Larry Brown in a recent interview, saying that I grew up watching Allen Iverson. Allen Iverson loved Larry Brown. He loved his coaching style, and that's what led him committing to the University of Memphis. So it's really good for them, and I think we've all said that Penny needs that one assistant on his staff that can really help him when it comes to late game situations, being able to get players open, because we've seen from time to time that Penny Hardaway, he's been outcoached before by some of these. Whether it's Kelvin Sampson at Houston or, whether it was, if it was Coach K at Duke, whatever the case may be, he kind of needed somebody on his staff with some, with some prestige, somebody with some history to kind of, get him over the hump. And I don't think there was any more of a better hire than Larry Brown. Now, granted, Larry Brown's a little up there in age, but heck, I mean, if he's going to help, Penny Hardaway get to the NCAA tournament and to, help, Penny get to his dream of bringing a national championship to Memphis, then I'm all for it. So I was glad to see that. I think this was all good publicity for the University of Memphis because nobody else was in the news like that. No other college basketball program was in the news as much as U of M has been, not even just over the past week, but over the past several weeks, whether that was Penny Hardaway, whether that was Larry Brown. And even when it comes to recruits, like they're still in the play. I mentioned Jalen Duren, who, he mentioned Memphis as his, one of his top destinations for when he graduates, graduates high school. And I think the G League is also up there too, but he definitely has Memphis as a serious play going into next year. So it was really good it was a really good week for the Memphis program. So I can't wait to see what the university, what the team looks like next year. Go ahead.
And if I can, no, you call me Sharky. You can call me Sharky. That's okay. And if I could add to like what you talked about already, also the girls basketball team.
Agreed.
We've been doing some movement too
Yes.
behind some, not really close doors. Let's open up these doors, right? And give some more, to your point, prestige to our women as well that are doing well. So it's been a great month as a University of Tigers fan. As we switch gears now into what's been going on that's taking a hold of our TV lately, switching over to Took and talking about this NBA, man.
Let's get it. Let's get it. Of course, NBA Finals, man. Suns beat the Clippers in 6, and the Bucks beat the Don't tell me. God damn it, I'm having a brain fart.
Welcome to Atlanta, where the play is.
And I should have known, right? But now both won in Game 6, so we got the Bucks versus the Sun in the NBA Finals. Who would have known? Definitely want to get you all's reactions. How y'all thought each series went? You know what I'm saying? How y'all think the Clippers did, even though they lost? How y'all think the Hawks could get better over the next season, especially with the explosion of the Trae Young effect, right? Like a lot of us kind of wrote him off, and he did his thing this playoff. So, Trev, we start off with you, Trev, Lito, and Sharky. And Sharky. How do y'all feel about the NBA Finals and about the teams that lost? How do y'all think that what do y'all think they can do to get better over the offseason?
Okay, I'll start in the East first, and I'm upset with the Milwaukee Bucks right now because each and every time I always break commandment number 2 of let's be real. When someone shows you who they are, believe them. And I fell for the smoking screen when they swept Miami, and I thought they was gonna lose to Brooklyn. Then the Bucks come out and win Game 7 in dramatic fashion, and I'm thinking, okay, they're going to handle the Hawks in 5. And then they just completely lay an egg. I believe it was what game was it? Game 4, actually. I think that was a game without Trae Young. I think it was Game 4.
When they tied it up 2-2, you're right.
Yeah, it was Game 4 without Trae Young. I'm like, okay, this is a prime opportunity for them to close it out. And they as they always say, they play with their food too much. They don't come out and just smack the teams that they're supposed to smack, or they don't seize the moment enough for me. I think they've done so probably in Game 6 and 7, but it could have been done in a much easier way. I mean, it could have been done sooner, for that matter. Kudos to the Hawks on an amazing season. It just came up short because of injuries. Injuries has happened to everybody at this point in the NBA. We'll see what they look like next season when they're actually fully healthy, and we know they have something now with Cam Reddish. We'll see what they look like when DeAndre Hunter gets back, who was part of their rotation as well. Switching things to the West, I had a feeling Phoenix was going to close out the Clippers at some point. I'm happy that Chris Paul's in the finals, so let's just hope that that pays up. But as far as the Clippers is concerned, they have a really interesting – I wouldn't say interesting – they have to make a decision now, either between Paul George and Kawhi Leonard, because it's
100,000% with that, and it's the same thing I said last season.
Let me tell you why. Because when Kawhi Leonard went down, the Clippers became a completely different team with Paul George at the helm, and that's how he was able to even get the Clippers the 2 games that they got in. That's how they were able to close out Utah. Like, they look so much better with Ty Lue in this 5-out offense, and you just give Paul George the ball and just let him go be himself. Like, Paul George is at his best when he's there by himself and he's allowed, and coaches are telling him, like, hey, do you. When he has another person alongside of him that is just as good as him or possibly better, then he's going to defer. So, yeah, exactly. Like what Savage said, you were able to get the production you got from Reggie Jackson, who's on his way to a big payday. You got the production that you got from Terrence Mann.
More than Dennis Schroeder.
You got the production you was able to get from even DeMarcus Cousins. And this was all with just Paul George at the helm. And this is with the offense that Ty Lue instituted that he brought in with Cleveland, where he was doing it with LeBron and Kyrie. Kawhi definitely takes away from that, because Kawhi is the type of guy where in a half-court setting, you just give him the ball and just let him go get his and go dominate. And with him and George out there at the same time, it throws off Paul George's rhythm, because now Paul George has to figure out, okay, what spot can I get mines in, as opposed to what happened when Kawhi Leonard actually went out. So honestly, going forward, the Clippers are actually better without Kawhi. And I'm just going to be honest with you. And
Blasphemy.
Four spots.
I don't see how a team without a top 5 player gets better. Like, nah, man.
No, I'm telling you, if you run it back with this team as is, just pray that Kawhi opts out, and you put some pieces around Paul George, and just let Paul George.
So is this the episode that y'all give Paul George his flowers? Because I was right about him last year.
I think we all gave him his flowers for what he does.
No, y'all did not. No. Y'all want to break this shit up. Y'all want to break that up. Send him away. Trade him now. Even after
the playoffs he had. Yes, we were talking about they possibly trading him, but now, I'm in it. But now I'm like, you might have to look to part with Kawhi Leonard, and because the style that Kawhi plays in that half court setting is to give me the ball, let me go get mines. It clashes with Paul George, and it just doesn't work. So 4 destinations that Kawhi Leonard could actually go to where that team becomes a championship team. She get ready to be happy, because the top of that list is the Miami Heat. That's first.
Number 2 better make me happy.
No, it won't make you happy unless you like the Philadelphia 76ers. That's another team. You got to get Ben Simmons up out of there.
No bad.
Third would actually be Savage's team. I know he's all over the chat. Savage's team, the New York Knicks, because Tom Thibodeau likes to run a half-court style offense. And fourth, and honestly, the Portland Trail Blazers with Dame. You give somebody that can actually play in a half-court setting alongside Dame, so that way Dame is not always having the one to make all the plays that you make. But the Clippers are just, at this point, they're sold on the high of, well, if we had Kawhi Leonard, we probably would be in the finals right now. But let's just be real, if you had Kawhi Leonard, you wouldn't gotten the play from Paul George that you gotten without him. So, but I'll leave it at this. It should be a great finals. Sharky is 100% right here. Criticize players when they deserve it. You give them credit when they deserve it. It's just that simple. But I was going to say it like this. It should be a great series, but I have Phoenix in 6. I just think that Milwaukee plays with their food too much. And at this point, I know what Drew Holiday can do. I know what Chris Middleton can do. But I think it's destiny at this point. Chris Paul is going to be holding that trophy.
That's a strong word, destiny.
It's destiny at this point. So I know I took up most of the time, but I'm going to let you guys go pretty much so. But whoever was next.
Was it me?
I think so.
Okay, cool. All right. So looking at the Eastern Conference Finals, I think we picked Bucks in 7 for exactly what Trevor just said. Milwaukee doesn't, they'll walk into games like, okay, yeah, we kind of know we're the better team, but they have those moments and they have those times where they just like, we out here, we got Giannis, we'll just have Giannis, airball a couple of threes, we'll have Giannis, airball some free throws, we'll have Chris Middleton shoot like 6 of 17, and things like that, and we'll have Mike Budenholzer, not make adjustments or not get into his team when they aren't, making defensive rotations and things like that. And I don't want to be the one for, to make excuses for anybody, but the Atlanta Hawks would, terribly missed Trae Young. Terribly missed. And if Trae Young doesn't go down in what was the game 4, this at minimum goes to game 7. At minimum goes to game 7. And the reason, what frustrates me with Milwaukee is the fact that, in that game, in that same game, was it that game that Giannis went down to? They were only down 10 points. Yet and still, Chris Middleton, game 5. Chris Middleton, didn't show up. He didn't make, he didn't step up. Drew Holiday was, he was off. They didn't make, any defense adjustments. Like they had freaking Bogdanovich, going off of 20 points, who literally for like 4 or 5 games couldn't miss. Okay, Savage, here we go. At the end of the day, I'm gonna give them credit, but it goes into my frustration with the Milwaukee Bucks, and I'm just gonna say it. Like I think they're a product of injuries. Like, the Brooklyn Nets, they had injuries to Kyrie Irving and James Harden. I'm being real here. Like, that's real.
No, we
That's
being real. If
real.
Kyrie play, we're not talking about the Bucks, right?
That's why we
So,
here. They had
I'll let y'all talk. I'll let y'all talk. I'm sorry.
Right. So I mean, I'm giving them the credit, but it goes into why I'm going to have my pick for the finals. It's just Milwaukee to me is very frustrating. I still don't believe in Mike Budenholzer. I really didn't see any adjustments that they made. The only thing that changed from Game 4 to Game 6 was the fact that Trae Young was hurt. To be completely honest with you, so at the end of the day, they won the Eastern Conference. At the end of the day, they stood there longer than anybody else did. So give them kudos for that. As far as the Western Conference is concerned, I mean, none of us really picked. I never at any point gave the Clippers a chance to win that series. Paul George looked good at times. He also looked very bad at times because he had his 30, 40, 4-point games, but he also had his games where he shot less than 25 or 35%, which is pretty terrible. So to your point, Trevor, like, I'm not sure if, letting Kawhi walk and saying, Paul George, this is your team. I'm not sure if that's sustainable for 82 games. I'm not sure if that's possible. I'm not sure if what Reggie Jackson gave you in that playoff series is something that he can give you over an 82 game stretch season. I'm not sure if that's possible. But again, shout out to the Suns for standing there. Regardless of everybody else having injuries, they were able to put everything together and make it to the finals. The biggest question for me, and I still don't have an answer as to who would win the finals, because I'm not sure what version of Giannis that the Milwaukee Bucks are getting and when he comes back. We still don't know when he's coming back. We don't know if he's going to miss a game or two. We don't know if he's going to be there for Game 1 on tomorrow. And so because I'm unsure of any of that, I'm going to go with Phoenix in 7. Giannis comes back at some point, but I think because Giannis potentially misses a game or two, I think those are games that Phoenix will take. Giannis will come back, but I think it would be a little too late. So I'm going to go Phoenix in 7. I mean, that's fair.
Yeah, so I wrote it down. I didn't even want to speak while you were speaking because I want to make sure I gave you your time before you cuss me out like you cuss out too. So we talk about injuries, and what if injuries didn't happen, right? You would say that, the Nets would have won the series. Well, who's to say LeBron and AD don't win their series against the Suns? Who's to say that the Nuggets don't win that series against the Suns? Who's to say that no. Who's to say the Clippers don't win the series with Kawhi? What happened. It is what it is. They are where they are. And the Suns deserve all the credit that they. I had to write down okay, the Suns beat the Clippers, the Nuggets, the Lakers. But this isn't about them right now. We're actually talking about the teams that lost first. Kudos to the Clippers for getting where they got. It is what it is. They're never going to be a title contender yet. I think they got to figure it out. Trevor, I think you hit on a good point. This team is better with Paul George as being like your number one option, so to speak, and then see how you can maneuver without Kawhi. But it's also body language too. Paul George wants to be in LA. I haven't really seen that with Kawhi, but I know speculation is what it is.
You actually expect some kind of reaction period out of Kawhi?
I expect
he's a robot. He doesn't have emotions.
I expect Kawhi to be down there with this team. I expect Kawhi to do. There are a few things I expect you to be as a teammate, as a person that's supposed to be a part of a sports team, to be a part of. Yes. So I'm not asking him to cheer and be happy. No, I agree. He is a robot. But there are a few things I do expect. But we talk about that was the Clippers, the Hawks. The Hawks had one of the best seasons, playoff runs that we've ever seen in a very long time. Go back 20 years, 21 years. We haven't seen a run like this with a team like that. Name an all-star off that team. Trae Young wasn't one. Name an all-NBA player off that team. No one was all-NBA. No one was all-defensive team. No one was all-NBA first, second, or third team on that team. And they went, to your point, barring injuries, could have took this team to 7 games for the Bucks, but it didn't happen. And kudos to the Hawks organization. Please get rid of that interim term on Nate McMillan. And for everyone else that has not been paying attention, Let me repeat this. What the Hawks did for Trae Young, you should probably listen and do the same thing, because you never know when James Harden can go down. You never know when Paul George can go down. You never know when LeBron can go down. You never know when your year is. So that's why sometimes, too, no offense, I hate that word rebuilding, because who knows when it's really your shot to go right here and now. Like, this could have been the Grizzlies' year to win the finals, period. It could have been. And you know, it just, you know, cards didn't fall into place. So kudos to those two teams for making it as far as they did, because at the beginning of this season, we can honestly say we didn't see the Hawks going all the way to East Conference Finals, let alone being a 5th seed in the East. We may have, you know, loosened some feathers about the Clippers being, you know, West Conference Finals, at least in the top 4 possibly to end the year, but we didn't see that. Now, to the point of the actual series, the Suns are great. The Bucks are great. The Bucks are better without Giannis. I keep saying that time and time again. This team is better without Giannis.
What the hell is wrong with y'all today? Is this less
realness?
troll? Are we doing trolling now already?
I didn't say now.
What the hell is
Go ahead
wrong
and finish
with
it.
y'all?
Go ahead and finish it.
Okay, thank you.
Go ahead.
This team, it's about spacing. When they can space the floor better without Giannis in there, they're better. He's not a defensive player of the year. We all agree to that. He's a defensive help player of the year. And so he plays really great help defense. Remember how many times he played against Durant, or how many times did he guard Kobe, LeBron, all these other players? So he hasn't done that. But as I'm about to go get my daughter in a moment, I will say this about the series. The series is going to be great. It's going to be needed because there's 2 small market teams basically in the finals. We have never yet to see this in the past like 20, 21 years. I'm going to give it to the Bucks. I hope Giannis does not come back. I hope the Bucks win in 6. I'm going to leave it at that and pass it over to who's next. Excuse me.
Unfortunately, it's me, but I ain't got no trolls to give y'all today. I'm sorry. Let's be real, listeners. I really am. Like, the Bucks are better without their MVP, without the best big man in the league. Like, come on, man. I hate he having to go get his daughter because
I can see it. I can see it. Their spacing is better. Their spacing is better.
So they'll be in the NBA Finals if Giannis went there.
Would they have got here without Giannis? Probably not.
I ain't no problem about it. Hell no about it. So that's about the Bucks. The Clippers, we can debate that one all day, but hell no, they're not a better team without Kawhi. All right. I guess we'll know.
I honestly feel if the Clippers are going to at least stay close to playoff contention, because I don't think they'll get here ever again this far in the playoffs ever again. But to even come close to replicating
I disagree with that because we saw the coaching that Ty Lue can actually do. Like Ty Lue is a great coach, and we see him.
Yeah, he's a great coach, but you have to remember his championship in Cleveland. They ran a 5-out style offense, which caters more to Paul George more so than Kawhi Leonard. That's why I said you put Paul George at the helm. You put 4 guys around him, try to recreate those teams in Indiana per se, and they're still somewhat in the hunt. It doesn't get them over the hump, but it's like they're still in the hunt. At least
you're still in a hunt, and Kawhi will put you over the hump. But that's neither here and there. Let's debate that one another day. With the Hawks, let's get healthy with them. We saw what Trae Young can do. He can take over the league, and you know they can do their thing. But I mean, simply said, I can give a demonstration of how I feel about this NBA Finals. Give me 1 second, gentlemen. We gotta, you know what I'm saying? We got some Bucks right here. You know what I'm saying? Let's get to sweeping some Bucks, y'all. Let's get to sweeping some Bucks. If it won't be 4, it'll be 5 because I'm a gentleman. So that's how I feel. It'll be 4. If not a sweep, it'll be a 5. We don't know when Giannis come back, and like y'all said, apparently they play better with Giannis. So hey, y'all see me holding this room right here.
See game 6. I mean, see game 6 of the well, actually 5 and 6, honestly, of the Hawks series. You really calling the sweep though?
4 or 5. 4 or 5. 4 or 5.
All right.
Write it down. Take a picture. And you know we finna be turned out here in Phoenix. That's all I got, fellas.
All right, let's just go to L of the month, man. Because
Yeah, I am so not sorry for what I've said so far.
Well, neither am I, damn it. Neither am I.
I ain't
Yeah,
either.
I mean, yeah. I know I said Bucks. I'm sorry, Trevor. What did you say? Who's gonna win the finals? Because I know those two said.
I said Phoenix in 6.
Okay, so
I think
Bucks.
I think it'll be a good series, but I think to Skylar's point, I think Giannis comes back too late at this point, and it's gonna throw everything off. So that's why I'm giving Phoenix the edge in 6.
Okay, no, that's fair.
Yeah.
I'll stick with the Bucks. If
Giannis gonna come back, we're gonna need a bigger room.
I did text him and told him I felt like the winner of that series of the Bucks and Heat should win the actual final. So I'm gonna stick with my pick and say the Bucks in 6. But right now, switching to our L of the month. For those again that don't know, we do this every month. But I'm gonna give us our candidates and have us give it a chance to before you become L of the month, girl. For who, because she just boo-boo, so she might go and hold that L. And so we have Scottie Pippen for his Scottie outtakes. The crowd, speaking of the Hawks, the ATL crowd, we have the Memphis versus Nashville debate, which I don't believe needs to be a debate at all, but we'll talk about that here in a moment. And then Trevor, can you open us up about the other one that we have for L of the month, please?
Which one was there? Additional one? Let me see.
Oh, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. No, I can hear you. I was just checking. I think those were the only 3. Those were the only 3. Scottie Pippen, the Braves. I mean, not the Braves. The Hawks in Phillips or State Farm Arena, and then the guy the Memphis versus Nashville thing. I think those were the only 3.
Let's add some content to the Hawks one real quick. What exactly about the Hawks?
All right, so I believe this was game 3. I think it was game 3. So this was during the timeout. I think the Hawks were up by 4. So you have Crime Mob in the building.
Ah, that one. Okay.
Performing the Black National Anthem, if you will. Nuck if you buck. And I believe you have 2 Chainz in the house. You have Cam Newton in the house.
Oh, they lit.
Bevy of other people in the house. And it is dead silent in State Farm Arena as Crime Mob is performing Nuck if you buck. That's why they're on the list.
So with Atlanta, I don't know if we want to add this one or make this one a separate L, because I do have another one real quick. Speaking of Atlanta hip hop, Kevin Horder. So they had like a Atlanta hip hop playoffs, right? As they were in the conference finals on the Megatron, and Kevin Horder chose Rich the Kid over Outkast, and like the Atlanta Hawks crowd booed the hell out of him. So if you want to add Horder to that list, gentlemen, I don't know how y'all feel about that, but I think that's an L in itself. Like Rich the Kid over Outkast, but Atlanta hip hop supremacy.
Now, I mean, we can, but I also don't think we can get mad at Red Velvet because, I mean, he was, again, part of that crowd that was born in 98, 99, maybe, who hasn't, let's be real. Outkast hasn't made So Fresh So Clean 2 or 3 years ago. So, I mean, he knows what he knows. Unfortunately, whatever his iPod is still listening to is what he's listening to. But I would say, before we add that, let's just go. Well, we can add that. And just
we'll add it
about that.
We'll add it just for giggles. We'll add it.
So I guess from the list that we have, I think you have to go with Atlanta. To your point, Trevor, like that's a song. I don't care if you are, at a Greek picnic. I don't care if you are, at a family reunion. I don't care if it's the first Sunday of church. If Nuck If You Buck is played, there's a form of reaction that's going to come from some Black person within that crowd instantly. And for there to have been, 10, 15, 20,000 people at State Farm Arena, and for no one to be, for there to have, no one to have a reaction whatsoever, that deserves an L. Especially, I'll see, if we got this reaction from, fans in, Phoenix, or if you got this reaction from fans in, I don't know, Dallas, whatever the case may be. But this is Atlanta. This is where, this is the home of Magic City. This is where, this is the black capital in Atlanta too, and nobody has a reaction. That's pretty bad. So I'm gonna, that's my L. But if I could throw an honorable mention in there, wing stop or thigh stop, decided to, I guess, change the name, but change, them to stop selling wings and, make the name Thigh Stop. They should stop doing that, is what I would say. So that's my honorable mention, and I'm done after that.
I think that was the one I was forgetting because I remember Skylar bringing that up. Thank you for reminding me on that one, Skylar, too.
Oh man, if I had to choose one, I'd definitely go to Atlanta route. Like, I'm disappointed in the Greek unity that's out there. Like, where's the Greek unity? We ain't see nobody strolling. As many times we ain't seen a fan on the court. Like, why we ain't see nobody strolling on the court? Like, this is Crime Mob. This is one of the black national anthems. We should at least sing, a Nuke Shinian or an Alpha Train or something. Like, come on, man. Let's get a sitar going or something, man. An AKA going. Like, this is life. Yeah. This time for women. Where the Deltas, man? What a Delta. I'm disappointed in the Greek unit. The D9 as a whole, y'all disappointed me in this one. So in a way, we kind of taking it L, right? But no, just honestly, the whole Atlanta scenery. The guy who made the Grizzlies should come to Nashville reference is a complete idiot, and let's not give him the 2 cents or the 5 seconds that he wants. So Atlanta definitely got the L of the month for this one. Especially with Kevin Porter, like Savage said, hey, y'all, it's playing the White Wings. So is Roses. Have I played Miss Jackson? I haven't played Miss Jackson at the White Wings.
Kevin Herter.
My next one.
Kevin Herter was born in '98. I think had just came out at there. And he's from
You know about Speaker Box and the Love Below. Ain't no way in hell I'm picking Plug Talk over there.
Speaker Box and Love Below came out in 04?
2004, 2005.
So that puts
man was 4 or 5.
That puts him in like 6 or 7.
Moses smell like boo-boo, and everybody knows that.
He's a 6 or 7-year-old white kid in Albany, New York. Is just all of a sudden going to discover Outkast. Come on, man.
Somebody should know.
And then he went to he played his college ball at the University of Maryland. So of course, if anything, any kind of hip hop, he's gonna be put on the DC hip hop. So let's be real here.
Good point.
Yeah. My L of the month would definitely have to go to Atlanta just for on principle alone. You can't have. Not only do you have Nuck If You Buck being performed and you not really excited or anything, the timing of which it was being played is plays a part in this too. Because if you're at FedEx Forum, you're not playing Whoop That Trick when you only up by 4 or 5 in the second quarter. Like you playing that like deep in the fourth quarter to try to get the fans excited, get everything hyped for whatever the finish is going to be. I mean, I'm just being real. So I'm not going to even acknowledge the guy. He feels what he feels about Nashville. I'm just not going to say that. Scottie Pippen been drinking too much of his whiskey or bourbon, whatever drink he has, and he's trying to sell his book. So
he's trying to sell his book.
He's trying to sell his book. This Atlanta all the way. You can't have the Black National Anthem playing and not be hyped in some shape or form or fashion. I'm sorry. Atlanta got to hold that L for them.
Yeah, and they're holding that L at 3. ATL, right? That L should be capitalized there. In Atlanta.
They won't ATL at them.
And being someone like, I literally just came from Atlanta, and the energy there for Game 6 was electric because it was right after I think the Braves actually played the game, and so they had like cleared everything out and they're getting ready for the Hawks game, man. And the energy was crazy. And I guarantee if you played Nuck If You Buck, everyone would have known what was happening. So for it to happen in the arena, the night of that game was it's sad. It's really sad and pathetic. And Crime Mob is from ATL, so like you couldn't be there for your own artist. I don't know. I've been around Memphis for 8 years. If any Memphis rapper were to come, and I'm not telling you to perform a song off one of your CDs, LPs that we may or may not know. If one of a Memphis rapper came to perform any single that we all know, ain't nobody sitting down no matter the color of your skin because you're in Memphis right now. Period, point blank.
That's like if you know if Yo Gotti performed That's What's Up, and we literally were just standing there like.
Exactly.
Apparently they'll turn up to Whoop That Trick in Nashville, though, apparently.
Chill out.
And don't even know what that trick is. Man, sit down somewhere.
Yeah, they ain't whooping nothing. And we're just going to leave it at that. I think this is a really, like, close, not even close. This is a clean sweep. This is a real sweep. And letting ATL be known as the one that needs to hold the L of the month for us. Now, I do want to, before we get done, just share a breaking news that we haven't shared yet earlier, and I apologize. This is year 3 of LBR, and let's be real. And LBR,
God damn.
LBR has been amazing. And I don't know if you guys have been, not you guys, but the people that are listening. From year 2 to year 3, what we've been able to accomplish has been unreal. We've added more podcasts. We've added and gone to other regions right now. We got music as a part of the fold now. If you need something, just type in LBR Media and we'll take care of you any way that we can. We're not just sports. We're bigger than sports, which is probably what we kind of started with. But now look at where we're at and look at how much we've grown. So kudos to all of us at LBR for celebrating our 3rd year. Unfortunately, Cap couldn't be here. He's with his getting soon to be wife. And all the ones that have been a part of LBR to get us here to 3 years, right? It's not just Shark. Savage has been in the comments. The one that's always late. What's his name? He's always late.
Ashton.
Ashton. Yeah. See, I got that name late too.
Hey, shout out to Ashton though. Him and Sharky actually went and hooped this past Friday at Trinity, and he was getting buckets. So shout out to Ashton for that. I gotta give good credit where credit is due. So hey.
Yeah, and anything you all want to say about, it's been 3 years. So I'll start with Took, then go Trevor, and then Skylar. Anything you want to say about the 3 years?
I mean, like, it's been a huge blessing for me, literally, to be able to call y'all brothers for real. Like, we done been through some trenches that people would never know. They never know, like, especially at the beginning, and then the whole transition, and then COVID happened, and there wasn't no sports content. And like we thrive where there was no sports going on, and we thrive. Like there aren't any other sports podcasts. There weren't any other podcasts really, period, that can create content like the way that we did. Shout out to the listeners that's had our back since day one. Shout out to our new listeners who's catching up right now. And thank you so much for being a part of it. It's definitely a lot more to come. More podcasts to come, more things outside of podcasts that are coming in. I'm just thankful for y'all, man. Thankful for the opportunity that we were able to create really off a tweet. So salute to y'all.
Yeah, these 3 years have been nothing short of amazing just from the moment I started. Like I've always had this huge mind for sports since I was a kid. I just really never had anyone to share it with on that aspect, like a legit like sports conversation. And then seeing the way that Fox and ESPN is going these days, it's not the same as it used to be when it was growing up. So just the fact that I have you guys here to be able to share this with you guys weekly is nothing short of amazing. Of course, we got other stuff coming. My brain is always working on other stuff. So hey, man, let's hope the next 3 years are even bigger for us. That's all I'm gonna say.
Speaking of Fox, before you leave, Lito, we still standing. Y'all hear about that show that that's called Let's Be Real, same platform as us, same everything. I ain't heard none about them. So the real gonna prevail. I mean, come on, man.
No, I was just gonna say that I think one, it is amazing that it's already been 3 years. It literally feels like it's been a year and a half, and that's just if we were just kind of a year and a half, that's just the time of since we've been out here with COVID. So it's definitely been a fun ride. We've grown from recording in specific people's studios to recording out of our own building to I think over the past year and a half, maybe even 2 years, we've done a lot of this virtually, and I think we've done this without any excuses. We've done this without any hesitation. We were always communicating with each other, figure out what's the best day to record, whether we need to shift and record on Sundays, or go from Sundays to Saturdays, whatever the case may be. Working with y'all has been a breeze. Working with y'all has been fun. To your point too, I was just thinking about that show that was Let's Be Real that was running on Fox, and I haven't seen a single promotion about that show since then. So that just means that we're doing something right. We're definitely going about this the right way. I'm definitely looking forward to 3 more years, 6 more years, 9 more years, whatever the case may be. We're all either recording from Memphis, Arizona. Some of us are moving to Dallas. So I definitely hope that we keep our energy going.
Yeah. And as someone that was not part of the entire 3 years of the struggle, to see the progression in the past 2 years has been amazing. And like you said, Skylar, recording in certain studios to another, finding an office space to now, virtual. We're meeting the people where they're at too, right? Like you said, we didn't stop giving content. We gave the people what they wanted. We gave content. And we didn't always give the LeBron stories all the time, man. We found content. We got the show when we dug. We found out what people wanted to hear. We reacted to what people want. And so kudos to us as we continue to shine. Like you said, not just 3 years, not just 6 years, but for the rest of our lives doing this thing, because we're far from done from where we're at. I do want to add this before we get done closing. You talked about, what's his name that's always late again?
Ashton,
who made it. Savage, I'm going to call you out right now. I need you on this Friday or next Friday. Matter of fact, I need both. As a matter of fact, I'm about to go ahead and text your wife right now and let her know she needs to make you free for Friday because I need you to play on Friday. And that's that. But kudos to everybody for listening in and tuning in to LBR. Hope you have a great start to your July. If you celebrated yesterday, congratulations. But if you didn't, also congratulations.
Congratulations.
You lived another day.
You got time with your family. There you go.
Exactly. Let's do it like that. So with that, man, thank you guys for listening, and you guys have a great week.
Be easy.
Real quick. Bushbury County, 2nd episode is out. I'm debating if I want to do a 3rd one where I got to talk about Devin Bush. I'm really debating because he's been taking a lot of L's lately. I really am debating on that. But yeah, episode 2 is out, talking about the new offensive line, Devin Bush's original TikTok tweet, and everything else. So check that out if you have it.
Great, listen, yeah. So you about to say something about the Bucks or a sweep or something like that before we go?
Guarantee. This is my guarantee.
And on that, we're cut.